everything is so relatable, and I don't care where you are in this world. Somehow everybody finds some relationship to a K-drama, whether it's a specific character, an emotion, the story, the actors. You end up loving the actors, let's be real, because you do.
For all film-related interviews, reviews, and content, please like and subscribe to Pooja Talwar. You can also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. Hello and welcome to Candid Conversations with Pooja Talwar, and joining me is actually my bestie from all the way from the United States, JEANIE, who actually has a very, I would say, a noble way of bringing in therapy with our favorite topic of discussion, K-dramas.
Thanks for calling me your bestie, because that's how we got to know each other, talking about K-dramas.
Absolutely. And, you know, as I said, K-dramas just made the world a smaller place because geography is blurred, time zones blurred. And, you know, it's a conversation starter because someone somewhere is discussing K-dramas.
That's right. That's right. And that you leading off with that alone is a good thing for our mental health. The world becoming smaller through talking about K-dramas. I met you, we meet each other on social media. That's how people are meeting, right? This day and age. But it didn't occur to me where you're from until we talk about it. Going, oh, where are you from? What time zone? Then you start talking about time zones and where we are from. But it didn't feel like you're thousands, hundreds of thousands of miles away in India, and I'm in the US, really far apart geographically, but small, teeny, easy access online to talk about the latest K-drama and how it affects our mental health. That's special. That's really good for the loneliness that's out there right now. That's a big part of the world today.
Absolutely. And what do you really think is the X factor? Because I know, I mean, the Korean industry, it has a thriving television industry, but for many people, they discovered the treasure trove that this industry had was in 2020 when the world came to a standstill. We were all cooped up at home. Many people were alone, far away from their families, and everyone found this thread of communication via K-dramas and K-pop. It's amazing.
Yes, yes.
What do you think is the X factor?
The X factor is, I would say, the main X factor. So there's several, right? But think about, let's paint the picture. 2020, the world shut down. We are locked in our homes. Thank goodness for technology. So we have streaming services to watch Netflix, for instance, which is the global platform, but many platforms to watch something to help us feel better, to help us escape the real world of, honestly, COVID, which was scary in 2020. We had no idea what it was. Then they turn on this K-drama. Let's just say, you know what was really popular? Crash Landing. So they turn on Crash Landing. They're seeing a really beautiful looking woman, good looking guy, a love story, and then all this camaraderie with his, you know, his army folks and the women in the village in North Korea. And they were sold. Why? Number one thing, the X factor there is we're feeling shut down. Our emotional, I guess, well-being, which is part of mental health, is kind of all over the place. But when you see a story like that, that's heartwarming, generally speaking, K-dramas are, all of a sudden you're allowed to feel. We were able to watch something on Netflix, a show that brought us all these emotions from a day-to-day life that during that time was kind of, you know, have you heard the term Groundhog's Day? You're living the same life over and over again, and you're locked in and you're not talking to people. So you're in a lockdown. But then all of a sudden you're watching a K-drama and you see Sonia Jin's character or Yoon Se-ri crying, or that you see Hanbin's character falling in love with her, and all these emotions you're allowed to feel again. So that is the first thing that it brought out, the X factor of the emotions that we didn't know we needed to express came out through one scene. You know, for instance, you could cry in one scene and laugh in one scene, right? In a K-drama. And then it's a 16 episode saga. And all of a sudden you're invested because you fall in love with the characters. So what really brought us in was the fact that we needed something to come out of that humdrum of life that is difficult and hard to face. And we don't know what we're feeling because it's every day, right? But you get to express in a story that we all know. We wish it was real, but we all know it's a drama, so it's not real. But that's the part of the fun of it, right? To know that it's not real, but we can pretend it is, and it's okay. When I tell people it's okay to pretend, as in you're watching something, you're like, this is so cool. I'm like really absorbed in it. escapism is okay. In fact, we needed escapism in 2020, and that's why it was so effective. There's always a boundary of too much, but we can go into that later. So always I watch that boundary, but most people don't cross that boundary. They know that it's a drama and they get really into it, but they have to live their own lives. So I'll pause there, but it's that emotional, all the feels that came out from a story that we watched. That's not us. And so we were able to process that in a beautiful way. So I just brought up Crash Landing because I know that was a lot of people's segue into K-dramas.
True. A lot of people, because I remember Crash Landing released on the 19th of December, 2019. And there was no buzz in India because I remember the date very clearly. And it finished by February 2020. And there was no talk. And suddenly everybody was talking about it. But then the couple got married. They had a beautiful baby boy. And everyone got closure. That's how Yun Seri and Captain Ree's story was meant to be.
That's right. And so that's another example. I mean, that's why the entire world watched them getting married, right? We were so into it because that was an example of a K-drama coming true, right? And so we know it can happen. Obviously, it's very rare, but the whole point of that is you get it very vested. And when I say very vested in a story, invested, emotionally invested, our emotions are very real. And they help us process what's going on in our life. But many times, and this is the job of a therapist, we don't know what we're really experiencing, especially if it's a difficult time. You kind of know, but then you see a story. Let's just talk about another story. It's Okay to Not Be Okay. That's another one that blew up during the pandemic. You watch it and you're like, oh my gosh, that person's me. That is my mom, and all of a sudden it gets relatable and you see a story going, oh, I could do that too. Or then you start crying or you get mad. Everything is so relatable. And I don't care where you are in this world. Somehow everybody finds some relationship to a K-drama, whether it's a specific character, an emotion, the story, the actors. You end up loving the actors. Let's be real, because you do. Because right, I have my favorite actors and you watch them. But that's what makes the world smaller, through storytelling, very powerful storytelling that we do need in our lives. And I'm going to also be real about this with K-dramas. Generally speaking, they're easy to watch, meaning they're not graphic. Some are, some are getting more graphic, but those are the exceptions still. Generally, they're fun to watch. You're rated PG. Oh, they're holding hands. They're holding hands. Episode 8. I mean, Western, I don't know about Indian television, but Western dramas are not like that. They're a little bit more graphic and they're difficult to watch. If anything, when a lot of the Western folks were turning to K-dramas in the pandemic, that's the sign that they needed something, I would say wholesome, wholesome, rated PG or G rated, that was easy to watch because they didn't want to see something graphic. That's what our world is like. They want to see the fun, fluffy stuff and heartwarming stuff. And actually we need that for our mental health. That's really important to watch. What you watch matters. So if you're watching crap and war and, horrific stuff, it's going to affect you.
Because even in India, even on the OTT service, the kind of, the content we were seeing was explicit in terms of violence, in terms of, the kind of language being used. And also on Indian television, you have these long, unwinding sagas of mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, scheming families. And you're like, can't. But with K-dramas, a lot of my friends told me that they were watching it with their mothers who were watching it with Hindi dubs, which is our language. So that's how, And also, the thing is that you mentioned how It's Okay to Be Not Okay became big. Record of Youth, which spoke about surviving in the film industry. A lot of actors in India, many were out of work, and there was this whole talk about nepotism and favoritism. It was all reflected in Record of Youth. And Park Bo-gum's character was someone so positive, like no work for him was big or small. I will strive, I will thrive, I'll do it my way. So I guess
they're inspirational.
They give you a lot of hope. Similarly, in 1988, I always go back to that show because I thought I was Harry's character, because it took me back in time, and also since together you were craving that community feel. That's what this drama gave you, to revisit.
Exactly. And so I'm going to go back to the inspirational, the Record of Youth, inspiring some actors that were out of a job going, okay, I can hope for something better. Because K-dramas are inspirational, but they're also aspirational, where you're like, oh, I hope for a better life. My life sucks right now, but I'm seeing something really nice in a movie, in a K-drama, where this family is very loving. I want to aspire for a family like that. And that's very important too. So I want to say Reply 1988, that's one of my favorites. Toksan, Hyeri's character, I love, but I relate to her in the sense of she's outgoing. I'm outgoing. It's not like I was the best in school. I wasn't the bottom in school, but like she was. But what I love about her character was that she was really good at connecting with her family. I'm not good with that. So when I saw her doing that, talking to her mom, taking care of her mom, she would take care of her dad. She would kind of express her emotions. That was my aspiration, going, oh, I want to be more like a Toksan. I would like to be a little bit more expressive. And, just because I'm a therapist doesn't mean, I'm perfect at all. So I watched her character as somebody that I'm not, that I want to be. So that's also what K-dramas can help you do, right? Look at people going, oh, I'm not like that at all. But wow, I like that. That's what I hope to be.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you, how did you blend therapy and K-dramas? And also, as someone living in America, a Korean, you also have assimilated two cultures. And I'm sure the people you're dealing with are also in this very strange place where you are not American American, where when you go to Korea, you're not Korean Korean.
Yeah.
You basically represent two worlds. And there's always a conflict that comes. Who are you?
Yes.
What's my identity?
Yes. Yes. K-dramas are so helpful that way. So I blended it in naturally. It was actually, I tell people by mistake, really, trying to make a connection in a therapy session. And there's two things that came up around the same time: a therapy session with a family, and then a workshop with college students. And I was trying to connect. They were frustrated, not at me, but with what they're dealing with, their families, their culture, right? Because they were Asian, and everybody was like, oh, how do I talk to my parents? And especially college kids who are like, they want to tell their parents, I don't want to do what I'm doing. I want to study something else. You know how it is in Asian culture. You better do this. And so I was trying to make a point in both sessions, public and private. And the K-drama just came to me going, oh, okay, how do I give a good example? Right? I was like trying to give all these examples, and they were like, okay, I kind of get it. But then I went, no. A K-drama might help here. So I just remember asking both sessions, hey, do you guys watch K-dramas? Now, the one private session, the teenager was like, yes. She was all excited. She's like, what is this? What's Jeannie talking about? Jeannie's cool. And then the public session, I would say more than half raised their hand. That doesn't mean they were watching them regularly, but long story short, I used Reply 1988 in one and Boys Over Flowers in another. It's whatever came to mind. I went, let me use this as an example. Boys Over Flowers, what I showed was, let's be real, the mom in that, Lee Min-ho's mom, wasn't a nice person. And, she was very like hardcore about the job, his business. She was very mean to his girlfriend, all that, right? I showed that as an example, as in that time when she realized she didn't know her son. Because I was trying to get at your mom. I know your parents aren't mean, or they're saying this stuff to you, they won't listen. But then there's some hope there that your mom does love you, or your parents do love you. Like Lee Min-ho's mom in that one moment when Kim Chan-di, if you remember, the character was like, yeah, he loves this. And she didn't know that he loved all that stuff. She had no idea who her son was. And so I was trying to get at, our parents are like that. They don't really know who we are, because it's a very Asian thing to just push and have you do well. And, oh, I don't even know my own daughter, and that doesn't make it right, but it's the culture. So I use that as an example just to show, hey, this is part of the culture, but your mom and parents, they're human. And the Reply 1988 was always talking about family dynamics. So the whole point is, it happened by accident, but because it was well received, and then because I had so much fun, I went, I think I'm going to do this more. And then so that was about a year or two before the pandemic, and I used it a couple times, but then the pandemic hit and people needed something more than just me giving examples or me sharing. So I started using K-dramas a lot more in my work to have people look at them and we watch it together. So I go, let's pause a second. Let's take a look at this clip, and then I'm watching it, and then I discuss it with them. And then I'll be like, hey, by the way, you're that mom, or you're that guy. Do you see what I mean? And then they're like, I get it. So it made my work more fun, but it also made it a little easier because people got to see an example, and then I would give them homework. I love when I get home, I'm like, I need you to watch this. And they'd be like, oh, I get to watch something, but it's harder than than you think. I'm like, I need you to watch it, but then we're going to talk about it and then you're going to apply it, you know? So
Awesome.
that's how it happened. And then Nuna's Nunchi, I launched in 2021.
Wow. Therapy can be fun. And actually, the fact that we all need therapy. And I also want to mention another thing is I know BTS is big. Though
Yes.
I am not the army, but I am impressed with these boys and what they stand for. So much so that I took RM's recommendation and bought a few books that he had recommended. One being, I Want to Die, but I Want to Eat Tteokbokki.
Yeah.
I actually thought that writer could have been me because there are a lot of issues she's dealing with, a therapist could be me. But
Hmm.
that apart, it's just their music giving hope. It's like them, not only BTS, whether it's 17, whether it's EXO, whether it's TXT, telling their fans like, hey, I know what you're going through. It's not
Yes.
the lyrics that you and me have grown up where wham bam, thank you, mom. This, that, X, Y, Z. Here it's like hope.
Yeah.
Peace. I know what you're feeling. So I think that's also another thing because they just feel that our idols have been through what we are. We are not going through anything different that they
And
haven't
you
been.
brought up a good point. Because of BTS, let's be real, when they blew up, which was pretty, I mean, people say 2011. I kind of remember them from 20, maybe a little bit before that, but they really started blowing up in the last 5-6 years. They put K content on the map, K dramas,
Absolutely.
K-pop. So they really blew it up because of them, people are like, hundreds of millions of people are BTS army. Then they went, oh, BTS, they're Korean. Oh, there's a K-drama. Then they started making connections, right? And then we see some of our favorite idols like Cha Eun-woo and all this stuff in the K-dramas. So it clicked, but it's thanks to them that they really globalized it. And that's why I made my work even more fun because people are not looking at me like, what's this K-drama? Now people know what they are. That doesn't mean they're watching them, but there are some clients that have said, when I said, hey, are you watching K-dramas? And they're like, no, but I know about them and all this stuff. And I'm like, see, you know about them. So I don't always use them in therapy if it doesn't work, but I will always bring it up and then they'll be like, oh, okay, what's your recommendation? Then I'll recommend something. And so, yeah, BTS did a great, I would say they were a huge factor, in where we are today. And I'm very thankful. And I do love that they're real. And the BTS army is loyal. So they will listen to anything they say,
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
also,
And
I'm
so
glad that the boys do make sense. They talk sense, It's
they
the
talk
good
sense. They do.
idols to have, as I would say.
And
You
they
got to have a
represented
good idol.
Korea.
Yeah.
Right. For me, I shared this on Korean American Day, which was last Friday, January 13th. They came to the US, met with the US president, right? That was a huge deal for me because I went, did the President Biden just invite BTS, a Korean pop group? I mean, you know what I mean? Nobody would have imagined that. That's very important to just your own mental health and seeing that representation. So
Absolutely. And absolutely more power to these boys. And I
yeah.
like the way that, with their solo albums and singles, they're doing a great
Oh, I
job.
think so too. More talent
On my
shows off
playlist
their
as well.
talent even more. You know how some people have accused K-pop. Sometimes they're like, it sounds too a certain way and they're not, but no, a lot of folks are very talented, not just BTS, but them going solo, I'm proud of it. I'll be honest, because you get to hear their own talent and their own
Absolutely.
singing on their own. So it just proves how good they are. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And the fact that they all come from different strata of society and they have all
Yes.
grown up in the ranks. It's not that it was served to them. There's a lot of hard work
No, it's
for
not
each one
easy.
of them, whether the
Yeah.
rookies, whether the established. It's a
Mhm.
tough, I'm not talking about the tough industry. I
Yeah.
sometimes wonder the pressure that these idols and the actors work under. Like I spoke to Imeno and he said that it does make me anxious, the fact that there's so much of anticipation and expectation and drama ratings, how you're conducting yourself in public, who you're seen with. Many a love story has been nipped in the bud because, oh my God, the fans have gone crazy, or I don't approve of this and that. We somewhere forget
Mhm.
that they're humans. I mean, they also need a partner. They also need a life. Then let them be. But I guess
Yeah.
somewhere they just live this picture. It could be so strenuous if you and me were to just conduct ourselves in a certain way and not.
I agree. I agree. There is no such thing as perfect person. I don't care unless you're a robot or AI. Okay. So then we're not going to go there, but No, I do feel, I'm glad you brought up this because there are times even in social media, I talk a little bit about the pressures of the K-pop industry. I am not in it. I am not even there, but just analyzing it and looking at it. And, even after, okay, so K-pop stars, they perform and all this stuff, but not only do they do that, they even stream, they're on live streams, right? Where they talk to their fans. I feel sorry for them when they do it that a little bit, because there's pressure even after they're performing to be a certain way. And you make one mistake, according to the public, which I think somebody made a mistake recently. They saw something that he subscribed to on YouTube. Gosh, who was it? I forget what it was. He was on a live stream with fans and he got
I heard
blasted.
about this too. I forget. I
Yeah.
heard about this too. Yeah.
I know it's drawing a blank, and there's a lot of people who've done that, and he's not canceled per se, but he got a lot of flack, and I thought that's not fair though. And is it an iPad? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for him because that's not fair. Like, oh my gosh, not only are you a K-pop star artist singing, doing all these records and all this stuff, then you have to like do a live with your fans, which is after work per se. That is very draining. So I do think about their mental health, and my hope is that maybe the industry emphasizes that more. I'm hearing some movement, but let's be real. I mean, that's why there's a lot of mental health issues in this field with, and some celebrities and artists are very outspoken about it. And I think that's good because they're human.
Absolutely.
And then you get canceled like this because you make one mistake or you don't make a mistake or somebody thinks you make a mistake. Oh my gosh, I can't even.
Or somebody has taken it upon themselves to just wash their dirty laundry in public. What happened with Kim Sono really like upset me because he had hit an all-time high with Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha, and no sooner had that finale and there was the thing, it was their personal affair. Firstly, I don't know what happened between the couple.
Yeah.
But I also feel partners should just, whether even it's Prince Harry at the moment, spare us, talk to each other, don't go public.
But then there are people in the public who look at that. So let's talk about Kim Sono. I also was upset. I even went live to talk about it because not only do I like him, there's a lot of people I like, but that particular case I thought was very tragic in the sense that he just finished the finale of Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha. It had blown up. It was doing beautifully. He was at the height of his career. And then this got revealed. And to me, I thought it was very planned. I was like, so his finale just ended. And then somebody shares a story. Yes, technically, whatever, his partner. But I thought that was very sad. That's why I actually think it's not just airing your dirty laundry. It's the timing of when it's done.
Absolutely.
And how calculated. So I probably will. I don't know. People are like, Jeannie, who are you to say this? I don't know all this. I'm just thinking the timing was too unreal.
Absolutely.
It was like less than 5 hours after his finale.
Exactly. I woke up 18th or 17th October, and I woke up and everyone's like, have you read? Like,
I didn't even know. I remember the night before being so excited. It was a great finale, watching it with friends and even my husband. And then we went to bed, and then I woke up to headlines. And then I went live on my Instagram that morning on the East Coast time because I was upset. Like, I was upset for him. Now, here's the thing. I made it clear, hey, I'm not condoning whatever someone does wrong. Okay. Who am I to judge somebody? However, how it was done was just so terrible to cancel a person like that. So I just think for someone's mental health, and the pressure that they have in K-pop and K-dramas, India, Bollywood stars, all of that, US celebrities, so much pressure. I don't know how you can survive. Part of me is like, gosh, I never want to be in that position. I hope I'm never famous,
No, and I've asked a lot of them say they do not, some of them Google their names just to know what's happening. Some of them avoid reading the headlines. And then I asked a famous star, she's announced her relationship. She says, it's very normal for a woman to have a partner, but marriage, this happened, that happened. She says, that's for me and my family to know. I mean, I am not an actor 24/7. And let me tell you that it hurts. If you love your oppas and your unnis and your noonas and your yongs, let them be. For that matter, even in Bollywood, they're human. They're as human. But I belong to the media. We are all guilty as charged. Clickbait headlines. What's the gossip? Write something gossipy. and guilty as charged, we all press onto that headline. Hey,
We
what is the
do.
story
We
about?
do. Yeah, we do, because curiosity overcomes that, the curiosity, and honestly, like that I don't know, that need to, figure out the story. It's all there. We're all human. I've done it too. A clickbait title is pretty clickbaity. You're like, ooh, what? Ooh, what happened?
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, I like staying in my space, which is helping people with their mental health. And I do study the K-pop and K-drama and all that industry, celebrity industry, because they are most at risk technically. There's a lot of people at risk, but them in the limelight, in that spotlight, is very gosh, it's so filled with so much pressure. Some people will say, well, Jeannie, but they're a celebrity, they're an artist, they're an idol. They have to be on their behavior, on their best behavior, because people are watching them. True and not true, meaning true, people are watching them. And so there is a certain persona that you need to watch, but not faking and pretending, and you know what I mean? And then you make one mistake that could be terrible and not that terrible, and you're judged for it. It's a very tricky topic. But at the
absolutely.
end of the day, your mental health is at risk. Yeah.
And it's for the person who you're speaking to, the person who's consuming it, because I've seen, whether it's Bollywood, whether it's Korea, I've interviewed them, everyone's very guarded, minding their P's and Q's. Because
Yeah.
between the P's and Q's, if you have a W or a S or a T, hey,
Yeah.
it's over.
Mhm.
It's a
It
tricky.
is.
Yeah,
So it is a tricky thing. So thank you for bringing that up. And at the end of the day, we love what these artists do. We love seeing their dramas, and we're like, oh, they're so good. But so I give them a lot of credit. They do deserve a lot of, a lot of support and accolades, because they're acting out. Like, I mean, look at Yoon Se in Crash Landing is an iconic character now, right? So there's a lot of pressure on watching her. What's Hyunbin and Sonia Jin up to? That must be so full of, I don't know. I can imagine now they're raising a baby. So that's stressful. I can't imagine that being watched, and
yeah,
then
the
you have
baby
the
who's going to get
idol.
teach 24/7.
Yeah. And then you have the idols that are singing and then doing live streams with the fans, and fans might turn on them. So it's just hard. That is a hard industry, but thankful that I'm hopeful that more people will be in that industry, like myself, expertise to help those folks, because they need it to do their work, right? To do the
Absolutely. And
best work.
let's not forget they're human too. And I'll be very honest, I have a confession to make. My heart broke a little when Song Joong Ki announced his relationship. Though I was happy for him that he found love, but I was like, oh, right.
You're not single anymore.
You're not single. And, somewhere in your heart, you just felt that, the song couple would come together because she gave
Yeah.
such an amazing performance in The Glory. Now, coming to talking about dramas.
Yeah.
Korean dramas also highlight a lot of sociocultural issues like bullying. I'm glad there are dramas coming out highlighting bullying,
Yeah.
and Glory.
In fact, all of them, besides Glory, was very, very explicit, but almost every K-drama, if you think about it, shows bullying.
Yeah.
It's just not horrific. It's very like, you get water spilled on you or milk spilled on you. It's in every K-drama, which tells you that there is a bullying issue.
Yeah. And sexism at the workplace. And sexism at the workplace.
Oh, sexism, of course. All of that exists. And that's another good thing about the K-dramas. Just so you know, they're written by mainly women. Almost all women write the K-dramas. So I know people are like, oh, Jeannie's a woman, and so she's going to say this. No, I'm not saying this because I'm a woman. Women are technically, are able to draw out their feelings more. So when you have a woman writing a K-drama, there is the benefit of the feelings we feel, when they're writing these characters. You get all the emotions because a female is behind it. And also you're seeing more of the issues coming out, like sexism or just people trying to search for gender equality in the K-dramas. You saw it in Attorney Woo Young-woo. There was a lot of that in there, written by a female writer. So I'm saying this to say that it does matter who's writing it and who is behind all of the stories that we tell, because that's what happens on screen. And mainly it's women. I'm not saying women have to write them. I'm just saying the K-dramas are mainly written by women, and guess who's watching the K-dramas? Mostly women.
Yes.
So, though I will say I'm trying to get more men. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love when I hear about partners watching them with people or guy friends. I'm like, do it, because men could use it too. The crying and, you get your emotions out, and yeah, stop trying to be all masculine. Masculine also means to be real with your emotions.
Absolutely. Where else do you see men cry? Only in K-dramas. I mean, the perfect men only exist in K-dramas. And that's why a lot of women feel the moment they land in Seoul, their own love story will unfold. But I want to tell everyone, it only happens in the make-believe world of K-dramas.
Yeah, you can definitely meet someone anywhere. Okay, it doesn't have to be Seoul, but yeah, don't fly to Seoul or Korea thinking that there's every person that looks like that. I will say there are of course men like that. Yes, there are men like Hyunbin or Captain, what is it? What's his name? Captain Reed. Definitely there's people like him as in his character, but they may not look like him.
It's very difficult to look like Hyunbin.
Right. So I'm just going to be real. Not everybody looks that perfect. They are also actors. But I emphasize, but they can act that way. So I make it very clear, you can have the real love factor of people acting like a really good guy because they're out there. They're out there somewhere, really good woman. They're out there. They just may not look glamorous like Sonia Jin.
Absolutely. And lastly, before we go, which are the dramas you would recommend that we should have on our playlist for those who have tuned in that must watch dramas?
Oh, so many. Now, in recent months, I have really enjoyed Reborn Rich. I'm going backwards. I've enjoyed Reborn Rich. Fascinating. It's fun and entertaining. A lot about the family dynamics, capitalism, really good stuff. Then, of course, Extraordinary Attorney Woo. If that's not on everybody's watch list, like it's not a must and you don't have to watch it for a good mental health. It's just very feel good. And it did a lot of things to open up a lot of social issues, autism, all of that. Extraordinary Attorney Woo. I also really like, so I like a lot of historical dramas, but my favorite one, it's a toss up, but no, Mr. Sunshine. Mr. Sunshine, if you want to see a classic historical drama, a saguk, that is a classic one. It's epic. It is long. It's 24 episodes. However, it has everything of a making of a movie. I mean, it's like an Oscar-winning movie, but in 24 episodes.
Yeah,
so I highly recommend that one. And then for family friendly, for nostalgia, back in the 80s, of course, 1988. Watch that, even if it's not your era. But I have young kids who love that show. I have teenagers who are 17 who go, I love Reply 1988. You know why they love it? Because they relate to the coming of age. They relate to Toksan and Tech and all the friends, right? And then, so that's Reply 1988, and of course the family. And then lastly, My Mister is one that people still go, Jeannie, I can't get into it. I'm still going to emphasize what My Mister does is it's very realistic, real life, okay, of somebody who didn't have the best life. But how it ends is about hope and change and kindness and friendship. So My Mister is an excellent drama as well. In fact, that's probably my number one still of all time.
Wow.
Because I think it was a little depressing. So it's not like you have to be in the right space for it, but it made me feel all the real feels. It was depressing, melancholy, but then it got more hopeful and more hopeful and more hopeful. And then it ends where you're just like, this is beautiful. So that's that. Oh, and then Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha is that's actually the one I recommend the most. I was looking at my list. When people are like, I just want something fun, but something light, but something good, I say Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha because it shows family, love, some conflict, but it's set in a very serene, calm place. So it's comforting. And that's been my go-to in the last couple of years. So
I always say Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha is like one of those frayed warm blankets that,
yeah, you just watch and it's easy.
Have that one favorite blanket that, it's frayed. It might, still scratch you, but it's just so comforting. And
yeah, I agree. And not everybody likes it. Some people are like, it was all right. And I'm like, okay, so you need more action, then they're like, yeah, I need more action. I'm like, that's fine. But when it comes to like first timers, like when people ask me, okay, I haven't watched a K-drama, I watched Squid Game because everybody else did. I'm like, okay, that's a good one, but no, then I'll say Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha.
Absolutely, because Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha is like of those times gone by, the community feel. Because Korea and India is a lot alike, families living together.
Right.
Where everyone had each other's back. They knew what was happening in your kitchen, like Reply 1988. I grew up in a military cantonment. And I mean, my father's colleagues were the friends like family, like we were away from our family, but they were the family we had. So I get that, I get it. And they're still the bonds we've maintained over the years, because when you come from the forces, these people become your family, your friends become your family.
And I was going to say, people who don't have that growing up will still want that. So that's also why they like the K-drama. So I'm bringing up the different side. People are like, I didn't have that, Jeannie. I grew up very lonely, or I grew up in a very difficult home, but then I see this and it gives me hope that that's out there. So so just going back, there's many different angles to a K-drama. I'm just saying, and I did enjoy The Glory. I enjoyed The Glory as in, it was rough to watch. I mean, a couple of times I'm like this. I'm like, oh my gosh, what, but it was very fascinating and intriguing and entertaining. So I realized that's a very triggering K-drama, but it had a very just good story of the main character, and Song Hye-kyo does a good job as in, oh my gosh, you feel
it's a career best.
Yeah. And so of course with Song Joong-ki, I hear you. When I heard he was dating too, I was like, you're always sad when somebody's off the market. I'm like, he's not single anymore. Who's my next person? No, I'm kidding.
And I read up everything about that girl, and I was like, what's happening to you? Why are you behaving like one of the fans? I was actually upset, and I'm not the kind who gets upset. And
were you upset because she was perfect? No, I'm kidding. Because she was good.
Yeah, she just seemed perfect. I mean, she's pretty, she's sweet,
Yeah.
and she's a foreigner. So I mean, there's hope for all of us.
There is hope. There is hope. You're right. And actually, that's the first one. I thought that was really cool. I'm trying to think of others, but his is the most high profile where he's dating
I'm sure the rest of, there's a footballer who's married to a Swiss lady, but this is the most high, some footballer who's married to a Swiss girl.
Oh, okay, maybe you keep up with that, but this is a cool. I mean, it was very interesting. That news came out right after his drama. So again, it's like
just
boom.
A few days before his wife's drama, former wife's drama. And I was like,
that too.
I was like, Katya.
I was gonna say, so again, a lot of this is timed too, when you're gonna share the news, especially when it's
all
about
the publicity. All
publicity, and maybe the news was about to break, so they decided to release it. I'm just saying. I don't even know. I'm not gonna even say, but
yeah. I guess the news was about to break. They announced it, and I'm glad her drama did well. He found his happiness, both had great ratings. It would be great if the two came together, wishful thinking, but it's okay.
But you hope that there's some reconciliation. Maybe not coming together, maybe like friends or colleagues, but I don't know.
I know.
But yeah, their dramas both did great, and it's great to see them succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you so much. Keep the flag flying high, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you've liked this interview, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram.